Okay, so you're here because, let's be honest, you're interested in like what makes a nation like really stand out in a field, right?
Yeah,
You want to understand it deeply, but without like drowning in a sea of facts and figures.
absolutely.
And that is exactly what we're doing today.
Yes.
We're going deep on Brazil's incredible journey through football history.
Yep.
We've got some amazing sources lined up, focusing on their 5 World Cup victories and like the legendary players who made it happen, right?
Right.
Our mission today is to really break down the core elements, the essential ingredients of their lasting football legacy.
Exactly. And I think, a lot of people know that Brazil has won a lot, but what we want to do today is like look at the sort of deeper currents that drove them to such incredible heights.
Yeah, okay, so let's like rewind, right? Go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
The story starts in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like something that just popped up in Brazil, right? This was brought in by British expats and Brazilians coming back from Europe.
Right.
Having studied there, they brought the game with them.
Yep.
And there's this key figure, Charles Miller,
Yes.
who seems to have like really gotten the ball rolling
Yeah.
in São Paulo in the 1890s.
That's right.
So it seems like those early conditions were like set up perfectly.
And what's so fascinating is not just that it was introduced, but how quickly and deeply it resonated with Brazilian culture. It wasn't just a sport.
Right.
It became, really wrapped up in national identity in a way that really sets it apart. And you could argue that this early adoption is a key ingredient in their ongoing success.
Totally. And that success like exploded onto the world stage in the mid 20th century with this golden era.
Yeah.
5 World Cups. I mean, it's almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
Let's touch on each one quickly. So 1958 in Sweden,
Yeah.
we see the emergence of Pelé in a really dominant 5-2 victory. So, like, what was so significant about that win beyond just the trophy itself?
Well, I mean, I think it announced Brazil's arrival, as a major force, and they were playing this exciting new brand of football, with the youth and the exuberance of players like Pelé. It instilled this belief and expectation that, has continued ever since.
Mm,
And then in 1962, in Chile, they did it again.
right.
They retained the title even with Pelé injured,
Wow.
which really showed, the depth of talent even back then and highlighted, the emergence of Garrincha.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you've got 1970 in Mexico.
Ah.
This is the team many consider to be the pinnacle.
Oh, yeah.
Pelé, Tostão, and Jairzinho Rivellino,
Mm-hmm.
all on the same pitch.
Wow.
Their 4-1 victory over Italy is like legendary.
It is.
So what made their style of play so revolutionary?
Well, they had these fluid attacking formations, and the players were interchangeable, so it created this really dynamic and unpredictable style that defenses just couldn't cope with.
Yeah.
They played with this collective brilliance that
Yeah.
went beyond, individual talent.
And then after a bit of a gap, we have 1994 in the USA.
Right.
Romario and Bebeto led them to victory.
Yep.
In a really tense final against Italy.
Yeah.
Decided by penalties,
Yeah.
which, ended a long drought for them.
Right.
So what was the impact of that win on the national psyche?
I think it was like a release of pressure.
Right.
It's immense pressure that had been building.
Yeah.
And it reaffirmed their place at the top after a period of relative underachievement in the World Cup. And it also showcased a more pragmatic, maybe a more European influenced style of play.
That's a good point.
And then 2002
Yes.
in Japan and South Korea,
Yeah.
we've got this iconic trio, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho.
Yes.
They secured that 5th title
Yeah.
with a 2-0 win against Germany, and that team seemed to really embody Brazilian flair, but with this modern athleticism.
Absolutely. And each of these victories, while distinct, they all contributed to this growing sense of footballing heritage,
Yeah.
this cycle of inspiring future generations, and it's incredible.
Yeah, and speaking of these iconic players, I mean, Pelé, a 3-time winner.
Right.
He wasn't just about the goals, was it?
No, it was his all-around athleticism and the revolutionary impact he had on the game itself.
Yes.
And then you have Garrincha, the unpredictable dribbler,
Yes.
who was just unstoppable in 62.
Incredible.
And the list goes on, right?
It does.
You've got Zico, this masterful playmaker.
Yep.
Romario, the ultimate finisher in 94.
Yeah.
Ronaldo with his incredible speed and power in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldinho, whose joy for the game was just infectious.
Oh, yeah.
And his skill just breathtaking.
Amazing.
And now Neymar,
yeah.
who holds the record as Brazil's all-time top scorer.
It's an incredible lineage, and what's interesting is how different players have embodied different aspects of Brazilian footballing artistry, right, over the decades. But that expectation of excellence has stayed constant.
Right, and it's not just the World Cup,
Yeah.
right? Their consistent success in other tournaments really underlines their strength.
Yeah.
So you've got multiple Copa America titles, which show their dominance in South America,
Yeah.
and then finally getting those Olympic gold medals in 2016 and 2021.
Yeah.
That was huge for national pride.
Absolutely.
And they've won the Confederations Cup a record 4 times.
That's right.
I mean, consistently competing and often winning.
Yeah. So considering all of this, even without a World Cup win since 2002, the underlying infrastructure and passion for the game, they keep Brazil as a major contender.
Yeah.
The 2026 World Cup is going to be a really significant test of this enduring power.
Absolutely. Okay, so to bring it all together for you listening right now,
Yeah.
Brazil's footballing dominance isn't just about luck or, a few talented individuals.
Right.
It's rooted in this early embrace of the sport.
Yes.
This succession of golden generations who achieved World Cup glory.
Mm.
And this just constant flow of exceptional players who have upheld this legacy of excellence across so many competitions.
Absolutely. And so, on that note, I want you to consider this. With such a deep and vibrant footballing culture that consistently produces world-class talent, what do you believe is the single most critical element that sustains Brazil's remarkable and ongoing success in football?